I've been trying to do some scenics on my layout for quite some time now, and I needed to get the roads put in, before a guy could get going much farther. So I go like, everybody does, and you go onto YouTube and you look up how to make model railroad roads. And be danged if almost every video that I found seemed to involve using a type of plaster and plastering the roads in. I didn't want to plaster roads in, I just wanted to paint them. So I decided to figure out how to paint my own roads on, and this is the journey that I had to go through. Hello, I'm Ron. Welcome back to another edition of Classic Model Trains. I tried making some roads using this stuff right here, the old Walthers, what is this? The street systems that they got. And they use the exact same picture on the front of it, whether it's made out of red cobblestone, asphalt, or concrete. So I didn't know, I thought I was getting a good deal, bought 3 boxes of these things, and I had some roads that looked really bad. Here, let me show you what it looked like after I removed all the buildings. It just wasn't working for me. Roads are supposed to be kind of smooth, smoothish, not look like they're 40 by 40 squares of concrete poured down. It like interstate. Oh, it was terrible. So I did the wrong thing and didn't do anything for over a year. You guys have had to look at that in the background when I run all my locomotives. Finally, it bothered me enough where I decided to let's get on it and let's make a road system. Well, this is kind of what it looked like when I was all said and done painting it. Let me take you through the journey of how I got it to look like that. Now, I was just going to do this quietly, over the weekend, and I decided to start posting pictures on my Facebook users group called Classic Model Trains. A bunch of guys like to follow me along on there just to see kind of what I'm up to. I post some updates on it. So I posted it before, during, a couple shots, and then an after shot. And the guys maybe a couple gals that are in there, you can't tell from usernames, they're like, well, we need to see a video of this. This looks really pretty cool. So I started filming it. And the little bit that I filmed, it ended up being about 5 minutes worth when I edited it down. So now I gotta kind of go back and tell the story of what's going on and make it a little bit more informative for you, so it's easier to follow along. Let's get started. I had a really nice street template right here from using these things that came in that Walthers kit. They're 5.5 inches wide. And then it's got these nice swoops right through here for where the curb and gutter goes and the sidewalks all fit. So I just decided to use this as a template. I knew where my start was at. I come to the other end of the street, I drew a little line, and then I just took some tape and ran it and taped it all off, cut out the sections. This is what it looked like after I got my first coat of paint on. Here we are on day 2 of building in the roads right now. This is the setup I decided to do with it. Took me 9 months to try to figure it out. Roads are ugly when they're pure black because, asphalt doesn't stay that way. And I just used some of this cheap apple barrel stuff from the Walmart, black. And I poured some gray in it, which obviously didn't do any good at all. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get these roads to look like they're sun faded. And by that, I mean I'm going to put a whitewash over the top. Thin water, with a little bit of paint in it, brush it on, see how that looks. I might have to do several colors. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh yeah, horrible. Everything's such a mess now. I can't find my mixing cup, so I'll just use my favorite as beer drinking glass. Got some gray and just the tiniest bit, just some. A little, no, that might even be too much. Just to see, experimenting, that's all I'm doing. Can always add more, but it's super hard to take off. And initial test pattern here. What are we gonna do? What's it gonna look like? Well, it certainly don't stick. But I'll never know because this is going to take several layers to see what it's going to come out like. Well, with that little dab of gray, I sped up the process with one of these bad boys. It changed it some. Give us like a month's worth of sun bleaching. So I'm going to add some more gray paint to this, and we're going to try it out again to get this to be, older looking. Well, I've tried all the techniques. I tried painting this on with the brush with really thinned out gray. And then we went over and I tried it out over here more. It actually looks better on this than, but it's just inconsistent really bad. Throughout this video, mistakes have been made. But that's how you learn. You just go and you do it, and that didn't work. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. Well, putting it on with the brush, the thinned out water, it just kept leaving brush marks in it all the time. The gray was just brush, and I knew what I had to do. I had to get this little thing fired up right here. When I was working at the hobby shop, they had all this fancy hobby stuff over there, and one of the customers sold me this compressor for 25 bucks. Of course, it didn't have any of this on it. So you spend $100 or $200 for proper regulators, and then you get the proper filters down here, and the attachments, and 20-foot hose, and then you gotta buy a fancy gun like this, and then you gotta learn how to use it. And I figured, well, now's just as good a time as any to learn how to use the old air gun. And instead of practicing on a bunch of scrap stuff, I just went right into it. Just both feet, completely just right in the deep end. So then I airbrushed in through here, and I'm getting a lot better of what I want. So now that everything's taped off, I guess we're gonna give her some airbrushing action and try to get it to blend. Yeah. Just a tickle. Just a light misting. Oh, that compressor's so loud. Then expedite this process. Yeah. Get this stuff dried up. Don't want to mess around, you know. Well, the prep work takes, of course, longer than the painting. I think I'm going to put some white on it right now. This is what I'm using as a template. This picture here I found on Google, and it's got a little white on the runways there. So I'm going to mix up some paint. Let me show you how thin this stuff is. It's like water. See, very, very thin. This is a nice gray right here. I think I'm just going to pour it back in the container because I don't paint stuff gray. Plus, this airbrush, it's actually working out better than I thought it would. Yep. Worth every penny. Well, a little white highlighting. I gotta tell you, this is one of them double action ones here. It's where you got the air by pushing down, and then you get the paint by pulling back. And you gotta push and pull all at the same time, and oh my God. That takes a little practice. So I did, the absolute right thing and practiced on the real thing. Some areas we'll work on it, we'll buff it out, but pull up all this paper and we're going to work on striping. Yeah, it's like a runway. After I got done putting that white mist on, there was just kind of a lot of overspray on it. I had the pressure set at 20 psi on the compressor on the regulator, and it looked not that good. And this is kind of it's a rigid foam, I don't know, kind of a sanding block or something like that. And then I went after the road and I sanded a lot of it off. This board was painted with a brush, a 4-inch wide brush, and I painted this entire stinking layout in like 45 minutes. I mean, I almost just poured the gallon on and then just troweled it out. It was just fast and dirty. So there's brush strokes in this. And then when I painted the black on, there was brush strokes that shined through that, and then the black had brush strokes. So the learning curve, the story, the takeaway would be to spray, if spray it, or thin the paint out, something. I don't know. I'm not a scenic guy. I'm a mechanic. I don't even paint cars. Lays it down a lot better, maybe sand it in between coats, but that's what's got the road looking kind of a little rough like it is. Well, the next day we're back and we're doing some striping now. Tape off some little lines like this. It's gonna go, crosswalks. And then you throw a little paint on them and it comes out like that. Let her dry using the old cheapo acrylic paint. Tape, paint, wait. Do more taping, do more painting, waiting. Yep. Oh, sure. Yep. That's just what I was looking for right there. Well, the crosswalks came in nice. This will fill in a little better once there's sidewalks up in here. Now I've got my double stripe that I'm doing. Piece of 1mm tape down the center, 2 pieces of tape on the outside, and then I just sit around and I'm going to paint and paint. Of course, this yellow doesn't cover as good, so I'm going to have to 3 or 4 coat it, I suppose. 1mm tape right there. Run it right down the center. Put 2 pieces of green tape on each side of it, nice and careful. And then when you get all said and done, she comes out looking like that. Oh my, my. First time I've ever done this. I'd say it's coming out pretty decent. Yep. Except for this yellow paint right here. 5 coats it took to get that to be consistent. Golly, that took a lot. Just kind of eyeballed the gap. You know, you can see the gaps are a little, you know, and it's straight, but if you're that close, you better introduce yourself. Oh, even the center tape is coming out at the exact same time. Yeah. Oh, sure. Them professional modelers down there sure know how to make this picture look like a dream. The only thing I'm actually using out of this is the Sidewalks. Now that I spent 6 hours sanding all these little pieces, and they are molded in a gray, but we need to make them a different color. So we're gonna get the old out, make them something different. We got the old spray boards loaded up here. I take them outside and bring them back inside to clear. Seems like the best thing to paint them with would be Rust-Oleum cement color. Yeah, I think that's going to work out quite nice. This stuff right here is called butyl tape. RV repair facilities have them. You can order it off of Amazon. It's also called plumber's putty. And this is the absolute best stuff here for temporarily sticking stuff down on your layout. I ain't kidding. Roll it up like a little booger underneath here, and you can stick this down. So I'm going to do this to all the sidewalks. This is so when I change things around, which is inevitable, I can simply pick these right back up. See how that's it? And it doesn't stick. If a little bit of it sticks down, you just take, so it's like gum underneath the table. And then you could work it off. If it's stuck on the board, you just keep peeling it up a little bit, comes right off. This is what I also use for trees. Just get a little tiny finger booger of it, put it underneath the base, and you put that bugger down, it's down. It ain't gonna go anywhere. And you wanna lift it up and move it, you can. Back down. Yeah, because I mean, I'm constantly changing my mind on where the trees and stuff like that are gonna go. So right here's the primary shot. This is usually what everybody sees when the trains are going down the track. This is Walther's. This is the hobby store right here that I've never finished. This is Merchant Row 5 that I've never finished. These two sort of got finished. You know what we need to do? We need to put some cars on there before we wrap it up, just to see how if it looks a lot better. Decorate this up with some cars, and it almost looks like this guy might sort of know what he's doing over here. Yeah, this took me 3 days to do, farting around gently on the weekend. I need to spend another day or two, finish up some of these over here, finish laying down this stuff over here. I've even got a bunch of more kits to knock out here. Showed you how I made a quick and down and dirty painted street. Oh, wait a second, I forgot to show something. We got merch. The first piece of merch that came out of the old design factory over here. These are those things that you can put on the top of your windshields, you know, up there where it's blue at. Or you put it on the rear window of your pickup truck or your tailgate, or you put it in your model room. I got about 35 of these things made up right here. I think I'm going to put them on the old eBay. One listing, 35 available. Sell these things for, I think I can get away with $14 with shipping, paid shipping. They're vinyl, made by a vinyl shop. You peel the back off, you stick it to what you want, and then you peel the transfer paper off. See how it's got the thingy? See, I got the like 2 pieces here. Yeah, think they'll sell? We'll find out. My first merch, let's give her a shot. I want to thank everybody so much that sent out well wishes about Max. He apparently had a stroke or something like that, and then he couldn't walk anymore. He lost his ability to move his little legs and stuff, and that really sucked. But everybody wished all the nice comments and stuff you guys threw out there. That was very, very nice of you. Thank you so much. I've got one of the greatest crowds that watch YouTube channels. You great people out there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.